Hey everyone, welcome to the Nurturing Coach channel. I'm Sarah Squires, and today I want to share with you the single most powerful skill you can teach your children to protect them from a narcissistic parent. Big claim, right? I get that. But trust me, this is a game changer. So I'm talking about it for children, but actually it's a really good skill for you as well, for all of us. And so what am I talking about? Well, I am talking about your intuition. Now hold on, before you click off and think she's gone mental, let me talk you through this. Our intuition is our internal guidance system, and it's what tells us when something isn't right, but it also lets us know what is 100% right for us. And what does a narcissist do? It distorts your reality. It makes you believe things that aren't true. It makes you question your reality. So your instinct is the thing that it's like your superpower against those tactics. And so this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to help you learn how to teach your children to trust their instincts, which will develop their own self-confidence, and that will protect them from a narcissistic parent. So first off, we're going to look at the concept of intuition. What am I talking about? And how it can be used to make informed decisions, especially when faced with the pressure of a narcissistic parent. And I'll share some practical ways to help your kids develop their intuition and to trust that inner voice. And all of this is designed to safeguard them from scapegoating, from gaslighting, and codependency, which essentially will render them useless to the narcissist, who desperately needs to be able to do those two things: turn their reality into whatever the narcissist says and get the child to be completely dependent upon them, but also for the child to be the emotional regulator for the parent. So let's get straight into this. So what do I mean by your instinct? So your intuition. So let's talk about what it is and why we should trust it. So the concept of intuition is essentially this inner knowing, this inner voice that always has our best interests at heart. Not to be confused with our ego. Our ego thinks it's got its best interests at heart, but actually is based upon our fears, our lifetime experiences. Our intuition bypasses all of that. Our intuition is our own unique and very powerful compass through this world. And virtually no one listens to it. We've been tuned out from it. We'd rather read the news to find out what's going on. We'd rather listen to someone else tell us what's best for us. And this was all designed, obviously, to control the masses. But what we're talking about is getting tuned back in to ourselves and trusting that we know best. And so that is, in this very simplistic form, it is our internal guidance system. Now, the benefits of trusting that inner guidance is we're never going to get waylaid by anyone else, because what's right for one person might not be right for us, and we might find we go along, do that. You've maybe spent all of your life going along with what you think is the right thing to do, and there's this niggling feeling that this doesn't feel right for me, or even if you can't verbalize what that feeling is, there's just a little part of you that it's not comfortable. That's your intuition. And so when we trust that, when we stop and say, okay, so this person is saying this, or society is saying this, what do I really feel about this? What is happening in here? We'll talk about how to identify our instincts and our intuition. But what is happening within me? I'm going to make a choice that's right for me, not for everyone else. Well, first off, that's brave. In our culture, in our society, it's really brave to do that, because we're kind of on a treadmill, aren't we? We do things a certain way. Stepping outside of that is brave, but my God, it sets you free. And so the benefit is you step out of what isn't meant for you. And again, this is when the narcissist will fall apart, because the narcissist is relying on you, thinking that you're there for them. When you learn to trust and do what's right for you, they're not going to be happy with that. They're not going to want you around if you're only focused on you. Now, that makes you sound selfish, but actually I think selfishness is not the negative thing that we've been made to believe. It's actually really positive. Selfishness is I'm putting myself at the center. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm letting everyone else off the hook for this. I'm going to look after myself. Equally, you are going to look after yourself, and you are going to look after yourself. And so our instincts are our way back to taking care of ourselves, that ultimate self-care, which again is an antidote to narcissism and narcissistic parents. Now, I do want to just say that intuition is not a mystical or magical ability. This isn't woo. It might sound it with some of the things I'm saying, but actually it's something that we all have. It's a human ability. It's a natural ability that we can all develop over time. Our brains have this amazing skill to filter information, and we filter it based on our experiences, our beliefs, our biases. Our intuition bypasses all of that and is just pure us, without any of the crap that we've been through in life. And isn't that wonderful to be able to just get rid of all of that and know, oh my God, this decision is just right for me. Now, it's also not always just a gut feeling or even always a feeling. Some people, they have images. Some people have sounds, like a ding, ding, ding when it's the right choice, or a if it's the wrong choice. But as you develop that, or as you encourage your children to develop that, you'll learn what's right for you. It could be that your image is a big thumbs up, or you can just hear celebration. Whatever it is, you'll find it will be unique. But for me, it's my stomach. It absolutely is my sacral chakra, or my stomach. It will tell me, it'll flutter if it's the right one, and I'll feel a bit excited because it's the right choice. And if it's a no, I'll either feel flat or nah, or it'll be stronger than that. If it's a definite no way, it'll be that strong like repulsion. That's just it for me. Like I say, you will get to know yourself, and you'll encourage your children. So that moves us nicely onto the next bit, which is about how to develop your intuition. So how can you help your child to develop their intuition? Again, I'm talking to you as well as an adult. You need to learn to develop your intuition to help your child, and it will set you free as well. So tune into your body. Do some basic exercises, like things that you know are yes or no answers. So if you don't like a particular food and you really love another type of food, just close your eyes and quiet yourself, and either get someone else to ask you, or ask yourself, either out loud or in your head, do I want to eat the food you like? And really tune in. What is happening? Are you hearing something? Are you seeing something? Or are you feeling something? And then do it with the food you don't like. Do I want to eat? And you're looking for yes, no answers. Open-ended questions don't work, particularly for starters. They will, as you get more and more proficient at using your intuition and you use it for everything, you can ask it whatever you want and it will respond, and it will talk to you, and it will give you what you need. But let's start with yes or no, because that's sufficient for where we're at with this video. So there's a couple of fun games that you can play with your kids, and the first one is called the mystery box. And what the mystery box is you put a few objects within a box, and you put like a lid over it with a hole so they can't see, and they put their hand in and they feel, and they've just got to feel and try and identify what that object is. What that does is it asks them to rely upon their senses. It asks them to rely on everything other than what they can actually see. They've got to feel what it is that they're feeling. That's a really good way of just getting in tune with what the world feels like, what an object feels like. The second one is the storytelling game. And this is where you ask the child to tell a story, but with no planning or preparation. Just give them a topic or a starting point and then ask them to go with the flow. This encourages their creativity, their imagination, and their intuition to guide the story along into what feels right to them. Now, they can do this like with siblings, they can take it in turns, or you can do it as a family, or, even if you've got wider groups, like if you do babysitting or something, like you're in a bigger group. So the next way to help them to develop their intuition is to practice mindfulness and being in the present moment. Now, meditation is the best way to become more mindful and present. What meditation does is it slows down the thinking process and just allows the space between thoughts for that guidance to come through. Now, not all children will be able to do meditation to start off with, but you can put on some calming music and just ask them to really step into their body. Just feel what their body feels like in that moment. You can also ask them to name 5 things they can see, 5 things they can hear, 5 things they can smell. Whatever environment you're in, really tune in to their senses so that they're in that moment. They're not worrying about anything. Obviously, when they're dysregulated emotionally, just stroking their forearm like that can really help bring them back into the present moment. And finally, encourage self-expression and creativity. Get them doing stuff. Get them painting, drawing, writing, singing, telling stories, telling jokes. Whatever it is that sparks their uniqueness, encourage that with bells on. Really let them express their true self. Not the version that they should be, as in someone else is telling them they should be. Not the version that they think someone else wants them to be, but their actual true version. Because that is their inner guidance talking. When they're being that version of themselves, that's their intuition. Their guidance system is them being pure them. So recognizing that inner voice can sometimes be quite difficult, especially when you have a narcissistic parent, because we can confuse intuition with fear. And I've talked about the ego can say, you need to do this to stay safe, because that's what the ego is all about. It's brilliant. It loves us and it wants us to stay safe, but it sometimes gets things wrong. And our intuition never gets it wrong. Our intuition is always making the right choices for us, always guiding us in the right direction. But how do you know the difference between intuition and fear? So let's have a look at a couple of really key differences. So the first one is that intuition is just an inner sense of knowing. It's not logical and it's not rational. It's just that inner feeling of knowing. And you know it. You know when you've made a decision in your life that doesn't make a lot of sense, but my God, it feels good when you make it. You just know it's right. You know that feeling, and your kids will as well. When they pick a film, let them really just tune in to whatever it is. And it just brings a sense of clarity and certainty to that moment. In that moment, I'm 100% sure this is right for me. And it is such a beautiful, wonderful, positive feeling. And it can lead to huge insights about other things, creativity, and lots of positive outcomes. Fear, on the other hand, is an emotion, and a negative emotion at that. And it's usually associated with danger, risk, or uncertainty. And for children of narcissistic parents, this often manifests as anxiety, panic, or nervousness. And it can even cause physical symptoms like a racing heart or sweating, palpitations. Fear is a useful emotion. It's not a bad emotion, because it can drive us forward to take action or avoid danger and take precautions, but it can also be a hindrance and can be overwhelming and irrational as well, because there might not be any threat. And that's why being in the present moment can really help. They might be having that PTSD response of fight, flight, freeze, or flop, or fawn. And so bringing them into the present moment will really help to eliminate that fear or calm that fear down, and then allow their intuition to come back through. So it's really important just to be aware and ask your child when they're making a decision, is it a feel-good decision that you're making, a feel-good choice? Or is it a not quite feeling great choice, but I don't know what else to do choice? So listening to that inner voice can really help us see through the fog of life. You know, children are bombarded with information. Obviously, we as adults are bombarded with information. We've got tablets, we've got phones, we've got TVs, we've got schools, we've got so many different people around us telling us what should and shouldn't be happening and we should and shouldn't be doing. Learning to zone out of all of that, just put it to one side and tune into that inner voice. What is my inner voice telling me in this moment? What feels right for me in this moment? It allows you to, one, not do things that aren't you, not get led astray. It also allows you to make the right choices for you. And imagine if we took what was the right decision for ourselves on every single step of our life. Every time there's a fork in the road, we just knew which was the right path. In here, not what looks like the right path or what we're being told is the right path, but what was in here. My God, our lives would be beautiful. So beautiful. Because the majority of times when we get to that crossroads, we'll take a choice that either isn't ours, we're doing it to make someone else happy, we're doing it out of fear. And if we took the other road, we would be going to a place of happiness and peace. And that's what we want for children, particularly narcissistic parents, is we don't want them to be constantly taking the road that is making someone else happy or they're doing it out of fear. We want them to take the road that is in their best interest, their own internal guidance. Even if you, as their loving parent, doesn't agree with their decision, if it's made from the right place, you just got to learn to go with it and to trust them. You've got to learn to trust, but helping them to differentiate between fear and that inner voice will allow you to learn to trust them as well. And that's why it's so important that you do this process, because once you start realizing how powerful this is, you will definitely want them to do it. So practice listening to that inner voice in everyday situations. So, for example, I do this all the time. I will go to my kitchen cupboards. I will open them and be like, okay, what do I want to eat? And I will go through, do I want this? Do I want that? And as I go along, I will know when is the right thing. Woo! My belly will be like, yeah, that's what we want. Now, sometimes I go to my cupboard and it's no. Then it's time for a takeaway. But anyway, so that's one way you can start practicing. You can do it when they get dressed in the morning. Now, I had a friend she was brilliant at this. Her daughter would wake up and would to dress as a princess and put makeup on. And you know how kids put makeup on, it's not the best. But she would let her do that because she trusted her daughter's inner guidance on that. Now, you might have to, if you're going to be that brave, then you might have to put up with other people looking at you and thinking, that's a bit weird, especially the narcissistic parent. So I understand that some of these things are going to be tricky because you're balancing the judgment of another parent, but the reward for allowing your child to trust. So one of the ways you can get around that is talking to them about certain situations and saying, at home, I want you to completely trust your instinct, and I want you to trust your instincts outside of the home. You might not always be able to act on those instincts, but I want you to know when you're not acting on them. And then when you come home, we can journal about it or we can talk it through. And again, in a minute, we're going to talk about how do we go through that? How do we go through those decisions that we make that aren't the right ones in the end because we've chosen the wrong fork in the road? But practice every single day. Creativity, tuning into what are your yes and no signals. Get to know them and do follow them as many times as you possibly can. So how do they navigate pressure from a narcissistic parent using their intuition? So when they're faced with pressure, what a narcissist parent will do is they will want them to take that road. Take the road of either making a decision that will make the narcissist happy, or make a decision out of fear that if they don't do it, there will be consequences. The more we can tune the child into their intuition, and the more positive the results they can get out of tuning into their intuition and following those choices, the less likely they are to take that fork, because they know that taking that one is a million times better for them. They feel better, the world is better, the outcomes are better. Now, it's not to say they won't always take that road, but that inner awareness that, okay, I've got a choice here. I can do what's right for me. I can do what I feel is the right choice for me. Or I can go that way and know that this isn't going to work out great for me. This isn't the best outcome for me. Now, obviously, for younger children, you're going to have to adapt your language around some of this, but they can understand. And like I say, you can then have those conversations afterwards of, so what was it when you reached that, when you were making that decision, what influenced? What was going on that influenced you to make that decision rather than that decision? And it's just awareness. It's not that was wrong. It's not picking it apart. It's not a blaming exercise. It's just an awareness exercise. And like I say, then following it through. So what were the outcomes when you took that road? And what do you think the outcomes might have been if you'd taken that road? And like I say, the more you celebrate every time they take that route and it pays off, the less likely are to want to take the other route. So the tactics of the narcissistic parent are always going to be, do what I say, do what's right for me, put me first. I'm the center of attention. Everything you should do is got to be what's in my best interests. Now, sometimes that will be very overt. They will literally say words to that effect or say the meaning of those words. Sometimes it will be more covert and psychological. They will use emotional signaling, like, if they're not happy with the decision that you made, or, oh, God, and real angry, the fear method, if the child makes a decision that they don't make. Again, this is a lot of pressure for a child, but the more that you can encourage that child to at least internally recognize the pull that they've been put under, that what's best for me or what's best for them, the choice that they are being made to make, the more awareness you're giving your child. They may not be able to make those decisions in that moment, but they are developing awareness that they are being put in that situation, so that the more positive results they get from listening in, the more they're going to think, actually, I don't like that road. I'm not going to keep doing that. And then they'll make choices to avoid taking that road, and they will want to do the one that works out best for them, and that's following their intuition. So some ways to build their self-confidence and to resist that pressure is exactly what I've just been saying, is celebrate all the times they follow their intuition and the amazing outcomes that happen. Talk to them about their decision-making process. Practice every day. Is that a yes? Is that a woo yes? Or is it a oh no? And support them in following their woohoo yeses, and encourage them and support them where needed to not follow the no's. I don't know why I'm doing all the noises with it, but that's just who I am. So, encouraging independent decision making, again, another tactic of the narcissist is that codependent thinking, that enmeshment, that narcissistic or co-narcissistic way of the families operating, whereby everyone thinks the same way, that cult-like philosophy of one mind rules them all, Lord of the Rings. And so when you teach a child to tune into their intuition and follow that, to trust that that is what's right for them, you're helping them step out of that we're all going to think the exact same way, that very robotic way of thinking where everyone in the family thinks the same and feels the same. That's not normal. And when you tune into your intuition, you know that actually I don't feel that. I don't think that. That's not me. And you can make other choices. So empowering them to make their own decisions. Now, obviously, you can't do that with the other parent. What you can do is that all the time at your house. So give them options. Obviously, you can protect them with their options, but listen. So even if they say something that on the face of it seems dangerous or risky or downright stupid, talk to them about it. Talk to them. Where is this coming from? Is your gut instinct telling you this is a woohoo? Absolutely, I've got to do this. I really want to do it. In which case, be creative. Come up with a way that you can make something similar happen for them so that they can follow that decision and they can follow it through whilst you're creating that safe environment for them to do it. Like I said, it's brave. It's brave to have a child who you allow to follow their intuition and their guidance. Now, not to say their intuition is always going to be saying, jump off a cliff or climb that tree. It's not. Again, your intuition isn't a reckless daredevil. They're there to bring you happiness and joy and love. Now, sometimes the things that bring people happiness, joy and love, we don't understand. But if you're willing and able, talk to them about where it's coming from, and if you genuinely feel that it is coming from that internal guidance, be creative about how that can happen. Teach them to trust their intuition when making decisions. So every time there is a decision that's made, whether it be going to a party or what to eat or what film to watch, practice with them. Is it a yes? Is it a no? Where's that decision coming from? Just really, really make these decisions part of your day-to-day practice within your household. And all of this will help them to develop critical thinking skills, which is a massive to narcissists, because they don't want critical thinkers. They want codependent thinkers. They want enmeshed thinking. So developing critical thinking really does help protect them. And one activity that can really develop those critical thinking skills is the what if game. So in this game, children are given scenarios and you can ask them to come up with a creative solution or predict the consequences of a different situation. Now, you could use real life examples of this. There might be something that's going on in their life and you can say, okay, let's talk this through. What is the most creative? If money was no object, time was no object, if you could be the most amazing thing in the world, what would be the solution? Let their imaginations run wild and then see if there's anything you can use in it and talk about all the different consequences of those actions. So an example might be if you woke up one day and gravity was gone, what would the world look like? What would you do? How would that feel? And just, again, it's just creating this amazing imagination and letting their intuition guide them as they make these choices. But also they're listening to themselves and thinking about the consequences of those choices as well. So that's the critical part of it is, okay, so if there was no gravity, well, I would go off and fly to the moon. Okay, so if you're at the moon and just talking those things through, it's a really good start. The other example would be if you're in charge of designing a new school, what would that look like? And again, this is just to encourage them to think about what's important to them. What's important to them from an education perspective, what's important to them from a design perspective. It just really helps them to tune in. And by engaging in these exercises, children think critically from multiple perspectives, which is really helpful for developing empathy, which is another antidote to narcissistic parenting. So you can see that all of these skills are really powerful in helping to protect the child. So the last one is maintaining trust in your intuition. So I journal a lot every day. and you can encourage your child to journal anyway. I would always encourage children to journal, but to write down their results. So write down when they follow their intuition, what does that feel like, what happens, monitor, have a record of how that goes, what it looks like, what it feels like. Equally, when they don't follow it, they can journal on that as well. Celebrate trusting yourself. So every time they make a decision that is their intuition, big pat on the back, well done. Get them to feel excited and happy that they have made that choice. And regularly check in with their intuition. Make sure you're asking them on a regular basis, is this your inner voice? Is that what's telling you to do that? Make it a conversation that you have regularly. Recognizing when to listen to your inner voice. Now, I would say all the bleeding time. Our inner voice is incredible. It knows everything. It knows way more possibilities than our brains can imagine. So why would we not always listen to that? But specifically, particularly with narcissistic parents, is when there are complex situations, when there's multiple different outcomes, and where there are multiple stakeholders. So who's going to be affected by this decision-making process? That is the best time to be tuning in, because what you're doing is you're taking out all the pressure that you might feel for other people. You're not being responsible for all of those different people and how they might feel, what decision you make. You're just tuning in and going, this is the right choice for me. How to rebound from a decision that has not been the best choice. So when you haven't listened to your intuition and things go a bit belly up, how do you get over that? Well, first of all, analyse why you made that choice in the first place. So what information was missing, if any, that led you to make that decision? These are questions you can ask with your child. What if you had all the information? What decision do you think you might have made then? Now you do have all the information and you know what happened by making that choice. What decision would you make? But what are the benefits of the choice that you've made? You know, there's always benefits to any situation if you look for it. And I think it's a really important skill for children of narcissists to learn to be grateful and to see the positives in life and in situations. So asking them what the benefits of the choice that you made that didn't necessarily turn out particularly well is a really powerful skill. Obviously, always be kind to yourself. If you made a decision and it hasn't gone the way you wanted it to, and people got upset or something went wrong, be kind and forgive yourself. If you need to make amends, if you need to say sorry, please encourage children to do that where necessary. Obviously, don't say sorry if you've genuinely got nothing to say sorry for, or we're not encouraging codependency here. But if they do need to make amends, then do encourage them to say sorry. So there we go. I hope you found that all really useful. I hope that you now feel that you are in a position to share this with your child, to encourage them to tune into their intuition, to trust themselves, and you will reap the benefits of doing so and see them grow into the truest version of themselves, which is what will protect them from a narcissistic parent. Please do drop your comments below. Don't forget to like and share as well. If you do need support with a narcissistic relationship or a co-parenting relationship with a narcissist or parental alienation, don't forget to check out the website www.thenurturingcoach.co.uk. If you're going through court with a narcissist or a psychologically abusive ex, check out our resources at www.getcourtready.co.uk. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.